Hey there. This special episode is only possible because people have gone to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and given very generously. People like Jason Moses, Mitchell Stemple, Tyler Ringeisen, and Matt Carney. Thank you to all of those people. You can be like them by going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
My name is Kole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
Yeah, and this week we are going to be bringing you a broadcast of the live episode that we recorded at the 2019 Portland Retro Games Expo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
baby. Yeah. First episode of the new year, doing a live one, so we can do Christmas.
Yeah, so hopefully you understand.
Yeah, I think it's a fun episode.
I think so too. I'm gonna come out here and apologize right away for what happened at the beginning. Legit started having a panic attack. I didn't realize how close I was after a long day of being on the show floor, and then like a weirdly like just stressful like getting ready period. So I had to step away for just a little bit. So Gary, I'm sorry I left you in the lurch like that.
It's okay. Yeah, it went okay. Yeah. It's incredibly low pressure. I'm not saying that to like refute your point.
No.
It could be a shitty thing. I mean, I just mean that like it is. It's generally pretty warm.
Yeah.
More crowd at these things. So it was. I felt not tons of. I felt okay.
Yeah.
Being left on that. It is. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
These things are hard, man. To these events. What's funny. So they keep putting us. I think we're getting bigger crowds.
Yes.
At these things, but they keep putting us in like our crowd is maybe 20% bigger, and the room was 5 times as big as usually in.
Yeah.
Just to make it, just to feel incredibly pathetic. Yeah. It's very funny. So it's like pretty, good turnout for us.
Yeah.
But just gigantic ballroom.
Yeah. It was very funny.
Yeah. Very fun. So good time that weekend. We're recording this quite a bit after.
Yeah.
We did things. I don't have tons of specific memories from the show floor. We like to do kind of a recount of what the live show was like, but they are getting a little bit routine. Like they're difficult.
Yeah.
It is always a little bit difficult. Like it's we can do it. It's doable. Unforeseen things are rare.
Yeah.
But it is. It was kind of just like a con-ass con.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
What are some specific memories from that? What was cool? I caught a little bit of the end of the Tetris tournament.
Oh, cool.
Which was cool. That was really fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Game Preservation Society, Frank Cifaldi's organization, had a Game Boy printer set up, and they were doing they would print out your Game Boy camera picture for a donation, which I did.
Yeah. Pretty big too. It wasn't just like a little postage stamp like you usually got on the Game Boy printer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just it wasn't a Game Boy printer actually. It was just a printer hooked up to a Game Boy camera, but it looked great.
Yeah.
I love the Game Boy camera.
It's very good.
Yeah. What else? Did you get anything? Did you end up taking any homemade souvenirs this year?
I did. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. There's an artist who, I have their business card here somewhere, but I can't find it on the spot. Her name is Katie Clark, and you can find her on Etsy. There's an artist who does paintings. So they're like versions of famous paintings, but they all include Shy Guys.
Okay.
And so I got a small one because it's a little bit, a little bit of a bummer because, I fly, so I can't really like get anything big to put in. So it's a very small picture. It is, Picasso's guitar playing man, guitarist from his Blue period, but it's a Shy Guy playing the guitar, which is wonderful. I had been like circling this booth for years thinking I need to get something from this. I love Shy Guys. It's my favorite Mario enemy. And finally, I took the plunge and I bought a small little print, and it sits right in front of my computer monitor because I like it very much.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get tons of stuff this year. I bought a bunch of vinyl. Oh yeah, video game soundtrack vinyls are in, so that was a big get for me. I bought the Symphony of the Night soundtrack and the Castlevania 2 soundtrack on vinyl, which was fun and good.
Yeah,
those are both great. They don't loop enough,
right,
on the records, which is kind of a bummer.
So it's like 45 very short tracks.
Yeah, it's not it's not something you put on and listen to in its completeness. You don't like groove on a song,
right,
individually. But that was pretty fun. What else? What was happening that weekend? I had a bunch of health shit, just because that's this autumn for me. I've been kind of getting it from all angles health wise. So like, I had a really bad on Sunday, like a very bad stomach day.
Oh yeah.
I've been some continuous stomach problems and everything. It was just like really not doing good.
Yeah.
With that. So it's and we're recording this on the eve of Duckstream, and I'm not like free and clear.
Right.
Like it's not over. So I'm really when you're hearing this, did I shit myself on Duckstream? Time will tell.
The world may never know.
Hopefully not. But yeah, I just definitely having some gut stuff, and that was kind of hit a peak during PRG weekend.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Nick and Will and Brayton.
Yes,
as usual, for coming and hanging out with us. Met a lot of people. Typically, we write down the names of people who we meet at the show. Did not do that this year, not for any reason. I think I just forgot to start doing it.
Yeah.
So we like to give out a big shout out. We apologize we're not able to do so this year just because of memory.
Yeah.
Again, it was kind of hard this year.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and we didn't do a booth participation thing this year either.
No,
it's gonna all this like talking about in retrospect just sounds like we phoned in everything. I swear we didn't.
I swear, we met so many people.
Yeah, we met a lot of people. Part of it, like the timing of this happening right after Duckfest, made this difficult. For me, like it was sooner than I wanted it to be.
Yes, it was basically a month turnaround.
Yeah. Which is not a lot of time,
right?
For this kind of thing, for you, for travel, for me, for being on for a weekend.
Yeah, it's a different kind of work than we're used to doing.
Yes, I'm very very used to like waking up, doing my recording and editing work and everything, and then just kind of going into the dark. Yeah, a stillness so peaceful. It is like the dark. Like that is my groove. That is what I want. And it just being called out of that was a little bit tricky. So we did not, it was just hard. Yeah.
But the meetup was fun.
Meetup was super fun. Great time at the meetup. Hanging out with, our buddies, like people who we see every year. And then also Bob hanging out, which is awesome. Like our pod buddies hanging out as well. Met a lot of people who said very nice things. Yeah. As always, we really do appreciate it when people come up and talk to us. Yeah. And chat with us. It's really nice. Yeah. A weird thing. They've changed the way that music works at this thing. So now you do the entire expo in eerie silence.
Yep.
So that's odd.
We complain too much.
Yep. And then there's like, so you like silence, do you?
Well, it's
and they gave it to us.
No, it's not that I like silence. It's just that I don't want DJ Switch yelling at me all the time.
And that part, it's weird because that still happened.
Yes.
Like when there were announcements, they were still louder than anything. We just couldn't hear the music from where we were.
Right.
I had big plans to play some video games down in the music zone this year and just didn't because of those health kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't get in as much pinball as I would have liked, but such is life.
Such indeed is life.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, that might be it for like recounting. I know that's not a whole lot of stuff. Like last year, I feel like we had like very specific goofs and stuff from the table. And it's not like there weren't legendary goofs happening at the table.
I forget. Was this the year where we just started talking like Texas gentlemen?
Nope. That was last year.
That was last year.
Was the Plantations of Oregon with the Super Mario Brothers.
Jesus God.
That was last year.
Right.
So that is the absolute value that like Will and Brayton and Nick bring is just like goofing around and losing our minds in a really fun way.
Yeah.
So it's fun to be recording this right on the eve of Duck Stream, which that is the predominant Duck Stream feeling for me.
Yeah.
So.
And I just look on jealously here in my room alone.
Well, you got Greta.
Yes. No.
She's great.
She's been a bit of a pill lately.
Greta, just to throw this in, if you don't mind me doing a quick plug.
Okay.
I started a Darkest Dungeon Let's Play.
Okay.
And Greta the cat and Pocket the cat are pretty good teammates.
Ooh, cool.
And that I've been naming all the characters after, people and pets that I know.
Yeah.
So Greta the cat is very valuable.
Nice. What kind of character is Greta the cat?
Trying to remember what Greta the cat is. Greta the possibly a might be a Crusader. It's still like giving me the basic classes. I haven't got anything real wild.
Yeah.
Pocket is a Hound Master. So ironic. But so that the Greta the cat has proven to be clutch, and you're the Cole Ross character is also proven to be very clutch.
Ooh, cool.
So very good. Yeah. Whereas the Will Hughes Vestal keeps getting stressed out, and the My Sinclair Grave Robber had to be dumped after almost fucking over an entire mission.
Not
so, I just replaced it with new Mai. I'm not.
Okay.
We're not good. It's in permadeath.
Replacement mice.
Yeah, there's no permadeath for friends.
Right.
Yeah. So but that's on the Duckfeed YouTube channel. Go check that out.
There's
good and fun.
There's lots of shit happening on the Duckfeed YouTube channel if you want to go see that. Yeah.
We don't talk about it a lot, but it's excellent.
Yeah.
So we should just get into it. We should talk a little bit about what we chose to do.
Yeah.
For the panel.
This was a bit of an experiment for us. That it's a little bit it's weird that this kind of came together around the same time we started thinking of tube talking, where it's let's just recommend things to each other. But the idea was it's a little bit more general than we usually do, but just either hidden gems or underappreciated classics, just stuff that we don't really hear talked about that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, basically our version of what is kind of a hacky YouTube premise, which is undiscovered gems, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So this is our undiscovered gems. We're recommending each other, but we're also just doing a high level, what's cool about this? Yeah. Thing. We used visual aids for the first time in a panel. Don't feel like you're missing out too much, though. It's just 4 screenshots.
Yes.
Per game.
Mm-hmm. And we generally describe the takeaways from them. If there's a particular thing about the graphics, you bring up, you have a Genesis game that features gigantic, beautiful sprites. And we just kind of mention that. Yeah.
No. There's also they upload this like they do for most PRG things. So if you'd rather watch it, you can. Yeah. But you won't get the wraparound.
No.
So you want this, which we've been struggling to remember things from a month ago, from 2 months ago. Do I remember anything from 2 months ago? No. My brain is Swiss cheese at this point.
Yeah, no. It's it was all. I mean, it was barely recorded because of cortisol. So
exactly. Recortisol. We need more recortisol. So we each chose 3 games. So just think of it as 3 miniature WAFs. Yes. Also, definitely let us know if you were there or if you're listening to this, if you think this is a good idea for live shows or not. It was an experiment, as we mentioned. We've been trying to, since we move those into topics versus covering different games, we're just kind of trying to figure out what we want to do for live shows.
Yeah.
Doing a couple of those a year. I think the pinball episode during the Duckfest was really successful.
Yes,
that was a good experiment. And then sometime, who knows if this is? It's always hard for me to tell. Yeah. Afterwards, So
let us know.
It was fun to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was fun to do, but sometimes things that we have fun to do are not necessarily what people get the most out of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So hopefully you dig it. Yeah. We will be back. So go ahead and enjoy that.
Yep.
We will be back next week with the first proper Watch Out for Fireballs of 2020 on Dusk, which I am almost done with my second playthrough of, and I love. Yep. Be prepared for me to convince you to try Dusk. If you're I don't want to try Dusk, you will want to try Dusk.
Yeah.
By the end of that podcast, I will fucking make you try Dusk.
Dusk owns. I haven't even gotten to the explicitly cool stuff. But I like even the basic things at the start, kind of in the first episode of it.
The tone is just fucking incredible. Yeah. It as a horror, it is one of my favorite pure horror action games.
Yes.
There's no other way to describe it. It is scary, but it is an action game.
Yes.
And it's a very, 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 very good action game. So,
and then after that, be prepared for me to make a case for playing in the Cat Lady which is, a pure horror adventure game.
Yeah. I started the Cat Lady. I haven't gotten very far into it. It got cool. I will say, if you're like me, the beginning of it, I was put off by. I think that early on, like when you're just kind of walking back and forth.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not solving puzzles. I'm just walking back and forth.
Right.
This is annoying. And then it gets interesting.
Yes.
So it takes a minute though. So give it a little bit of time. Yeah. So. Yeah.
And then the premium episode for January is going to be about Shadowrun Dragonfall.
Yeah. Which I'm also really looking forward to picking back up. So really lots of great stuff coming in. The things that are coming further in the quarter, this is all like bangers.
Yes. Essentially. So
you will enjoy this quarter of Watch Out for Fireballs.
So go. We're going to let the episode play the live audio. Probably not going to have anything on the other side since we did a lot of the admin stuff here. So we will see you next week.
Yeah, and we will see you then. Thanks.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you are watching Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast. Thank you. Thank you. We told you to do that, but it's we still appreciate it. That's for people in the future. I can't lie. So we have kind of an unusual show for you today, something we haven't done before. We are doing what is kind of like 6 miniature episodes of our podcast with a focus on unfairly forgotten, obscure, or unfairly maligned games.
Yes, we are kind of digging up these hidden gems and getting very defensive about either why they are actually good or why they are worth paying attention to.
Yeah. If you want to hear us respond to opinions that are stated by people who are not in this room and have never been in this room, there's going to be a lot of being really angry at like EGM reviewers from the late 90s. But real quick, this is not the usual format of the show. It is a book club, but for games. So we choose a game, we discuss it. If you've never heard us before, give it a shot. We've been going for 8 years and some change, and we've done 250 episodes, covered a lot of different games. So you can check and see if you dig it. Okay. So one of the reasons why we're doing this specifically is because we've never done it before. We know that this is a little bit of a hacky thing, like hidden gems is something like 40% of retro YouTube. Like if you go on, it's like, I'm Peanut Butter Boy. Welcome to the old game showcase. You've never played this. It's Sonic 3, and stuff like that. But we've never done it. And because we're raging egotists, we felt like our version would be worth presenting. So we chose 3 games, and I will go ahead and get started with mine here. The first one, and if everybody can make noise if you like this game and have heard of it, because it'll make us less defensive. And that game is 1993's Sega Genesis Ranger X. People know Ranger X? A couple people know Ranger X. Ranger X is a weird game. It is kind of a run and gun. It has the kind of visuals of a run and gun game, like a Contra or what have you, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. I got this randomly from a thrift store, probably when I was like 17. I was a second generation Genesis kid. Grew up with the Super Nintendo and then had my own spending money and decided to see what was going on the Sega Genesis. I just realized Cole is controlling the slideshow now. So you guys want to see this thing. So I do have to wait for him. It is quite alright. Yeah, we will be back. How can I kill time? What if we just staring contest this? Blink. Blink. No, that's so much weirder at this than it is. So since I didn't get picked up on the microphone, someone from the audience said, "Tell us the vasectomy story again." So that implies 2 things if you've never heard of us. Like 1, there's a vasectomy story. 2, people here could have theoretically heard it already. So anywho, I decided to get a vasectomy, and I went in. And I had this is the abbreviated version because Kole will be back any moment, I'm sure. I had in some cases the best case, in some cases the worst case doctor who was a young gamer. So when I first came in, the nurse asked me leading questions about what kind of music I liked. And I was like, oh, you know, like old stuff? And she goes, like CCR? And then I was like, yeah, like Creedence Clearwater is fine. She's like, okay, good. And then the doctor comes, and after the nurse had like scrubbed me down, like, I'm just laying naked face up on the table, basically, like just all my stuff showing. The doctor comes in, looks over at the stereo, goes, CCR, nice. Did you pick this? To me. And my life is in his hands, so I'm like, yeah, I love them. I love CCR. So he goes, gives me a couple like meaningful nods. And he asked what I did. So I told him I was a podcaster. And then that leads to a bunch of follow-up questions. And he started talking about games. He also likes games and old games. And a real like daymare scenario I have is that somebody who's mad about something I didn't like will someday have a scalpel near my scrotum. So immediately he's like, "Oh man, I love old games. Like, I love Chrono Trigger, and I like Chrono Trigger, but I think it's overrated." And I was certain that I was going to get like Briss 2, like some kind of double Briss action. But I was like, yeah, it's good. So he continues, and at one point he says, this is unrelated to him being a gamer, so it doesn't necessarily relate to this. But, Vast Deference, which are the tubes you have in there, apparently there are fake ones, they're like mimics. They're called Paravats. And he kept grabbing those when he eventually got it. And this is where the story's going to end, because Cole's coming back. So he eventually got it, and he said, bro, I just grabbed your vase. Do you want to see, or is that too weird? Which is one of the worst sentences I've ever been told. The other thing, though, later, that was on one side, found it instantly, like my vase was doing good that day. Other side, couldn't find it for a long time, which was the worst feeling ever. Like, you're numb, but it hurts. It feels like somebody is like, and then when he found it, and I'm not kidding, and this sounds fake, but I'm not kidding, he made the Zelda item noise. No joke. Like, he grabs it and he goes like, da-na-na-na, because we had established that we were both gamer Americans. And any other situation, I would have thought that was the funniest thing in the world. But I'm lying face up, exposed, cold sweat, bright lights, run through the jungle, blaring on the stereo. And I was not a fortunate son in that moment. So
I apologize for that. While we're being medically honest, I just had a panic attack. So I'll be good. I took medicine and I'm good. So.
I'm sorry, bud. All right. I started actually going into it, but then I realized that.
Yeah.
So I started talking about Ranger X.
Let's cue up to that. Yeah. This is an interesting game, Gary.
It is. It is an interesting game. Developed by a company called GAU, G-A-U, who went on to merge with former members of Wolf Team and form Nex Entertainment, which didn't really make games, kind of worked on, like Code Veronica worked on other people's games, did not do a lot of other stuff. But this is their only game, as far as I can tell, and it is incredibly competent for one person's game. This is basically all I can tell about the origins of it. I have tried looking into this, and I think that is a big part of the problem. The game did not get any marketing, really, which is kind of evidenced by the fact that very few people here have heard about it. And it is full of these very impressive aesthetics, as you can see, kind of beautiful lighting effects, really cool, big, beautiful bosses, and some really cool mechanics. In it, you control Ranger X, who is the robot guy, and he gets over my aversion to mechs by essentially being normal sized.
I was going to ask you about that, because you have made it very clear on the show, no more mechs.
No mechs. Don't like mechs. But I can pretend he's a guy wearing dumb clothes.
Oh, yeah.
It is Raver X. He's just going through that. And then you simultaneously control a smaller little thing called an X-Up, which is a little robo-buddy that is either a motorcycle or a jet. And it will either, you can get in there to switch weapons, you can, it will shoot when you shoot, you can get inside it, it has its own health bar, so you can use it as kind of a shield as you're getting through things. You can also fly in it. You have a little coolant meter, so you can go in all directions. So think a kind of a Contra running gun where you can shoot in, you have to choose which direction to shoot, but you can move in all directions from there.
Yeah, I tried playing this. I played everything except for the think the last one you're going to do. There's a lot going on in this. It's actually pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. It is. It's pretty complicated, and that could also be part of the problem, because initially it seems very simple, but there are no explanations for anything. So you can see in the lower right of those screenshots, there are different powers you have. When you duck into your X up, you can choose your secondary weapon, and they're vastly different. There's these bizarre homing lasers, there is a follow along the ground thing, flamethrower, and they all have very different properties. You collect more of them as you go through the game. And having to kind of check into your station to do so is a really neat little tactical concern that you wouldn't necessarily imagine have there.
Yeah. And it has something that I think is really a hallmark. I associate it more with Genesis games than with SNES games, which is very large boss fights.
Yeah. Huge boss fights that are different multi-parts. There's a really great centipede, like running centipede thing that as you destroy sections of it, it gets different power sets as you expose different parts of its body, its robotic body. And the levels themselves are actually pretty interesting. You tend to have to go around and destroy a certain number of things in kind of a maze-like environment. My favorite set of levels, or my favorite level is the second one. You're in a cave system. Ranger X gets recharged by light, so you have to destroy portions of the ceiling for light to shine down and recharge you, much like Cyclops from the X-Men is solar-powered, which everyone forgets about, including the video games. But yeah, I think this is just really obviously cool. It is a very good 16-bit action game that I never hear anyone talk about.
Yeah.
And you guys should look for it out on the floor. It is not expensive. I've seen it out there. It is, you can get a copy just card only for a few bucks, and it is tons of fun.
Yeah. I'm going to move on to mine.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a cool game. This one is one that it's kind of a qualified recommendation because I don't know that it's strictly good as much as it is interesting. This is a game. Good.
While you're gone, I established a thing. Yes. Who here has played Ghoul School or knows Ghoul School? Any Ghoul School fans?
Okay.
None. Yeah, that's the thing. So you're winning so far with the Obscurities Award. So.
My other ones are more well known, and I'll be making a more impassioned defense of them. But it's difficult to thinking back on NES games because things that people don't know about are either really bad or they already know about them.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, it's a qualified recommendation. It doesn't have the greatest pedigree. It was developed by Imagineering, the people who made such classics as the Ghostbusters 2 video game.
Oh, the right to left, non-platformer, where you're chased by a spider that kills you in one hit,
as happens in the movie.
Looks to know.
And also, it is they developed Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which classic is so good. I found out about this game by walking around on the show floor a couple of years ago. I just kind of saw it. I was like, wait a minute, I don't recognize this game with a name like Ghoul School. I really like horror games. I do intermittently a survival horror blog called Hexcrank. I was like, okay, like what is this? And I looked into it, and it's actually like a really cool kind of proto-Metroidvania a little bit. It came out in 1992. I would liken it a little bit to like the Goonies too, a little bit. So this was made by Gary Kitchen, known for A Boy in His Blob.
No relation. Our last names are different. Just in case anyone didn't know how that works. Spelled different as well.
Yeah. You play as a punk, or a punk as envisioned by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. His name is Spikey O'Hara, so either related to Scarlett or Catherine. And you have to save Cool School High from a bunch of ghosts and demons. Okay? So you're going through the hallways of the school, and you're fighting these actually really cool looking, like just eye monsters, different kind of goblins and things like that. Little crawling enemies will come after you that you have to really, really work to get around. And you're really disempowered at the start, but there is a pretty strong kind of empowerment curve as you're going and exploring these different classrooms. And there's a big, wide, sprawling map that you have to open up, and there are certain checkpoints they have to get past. So at the bottom left here, this big pile of skulls with Medusa on top. Until you have the right thing, you can't get past that.
As you do, like in real life.
Yes.
I'm just noticing from the screenshot under the stage it says bat. I thought it said SAT. And I was like, what kind of Ghoul School is this?
It is standardized test for us.
Get it in.
But done. And I think that for an NES game, even in a late era NES game, this is a very good looking game. And it follows one of my favorite aesthetics for retro video games and for pinball tables, which is spooky goofy, or goofy spooky.
Not the Kingdom Hearts sequel about that dreadful character.
Yeah. So even though the early going on this one is pretty difficult, I would recommend, if you're able to find a copy of this or work with it so you can have save states of some kind, that will make it more palatable to modern sensibilities. But the empowerment curve and the exploration and backtracking makes this feel like a proto-survival horror game to me. When really on consoles at about this time, all you had was something like Sweet Home, which used turn-based random combat.
The title didn't find.
Oh, yeah.
I played a little bit of this, and you immediately feel that Gary Kitchen, like Boy and His Blob, lanky platformer. Like your jump has more vertical than you maybe expect it to have. It definitely feels a little bit weird, but I can see the potential of it. And even just the drawing of that character, like the not realistic proportions, but proportions that don't map onto a rectangle, like video game characters who look 2x1 or 3x1 generally. He's got a linkiness to him that I enjoy.
Yeah.
It's a linky punk I enjoy.
It is sprite art that is done in contravention to anything that you would learn about doing sprite art.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah, there's a naivety to it that I think is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Ghoul School. Check it out. Is it rare? Is it a crazy expensive game?
No.
So pick up a copy. We actually work for the Game Piggies or some kind of booth, and we're just here doing viral marketing for them. We lied. The next thing I want to talk about is a game, 1986, a game called Alter Ego. Does anyone know Alter Ego? Got one Alter Ego, a couple Alter Ego people.
People who personally know Gary know about this game.
Alter Ego. I've been evangelical about this since high school. 1986. This came out on the Commodore 64, the Apple II, the Mac. Later, it's ported to iOS. You can play it in your browser. It is basically on everything. And I found this on Home of the Underdogs. If anyone remembers that, Home of the Underdogs, very cool abandonware site back in the day. And this is a fascinating game. This is made by a guy named Peter J. Favaro, who, growing up, he had this dual interest in kind of technology and psychology. And he ended up ultimately going on to research the psychological aspects of games. And in that research, stumbled upon doing this. This is his only game that he has put out. However, he currently works as a psychologist for an esports concern. And his website, if you go to it, says, email Dr. Favaro to learn about his new game, which I did, and got a shockingly quick turnaround for what is definitely his regular email address. That was a forum thing about a game he's making where you control a spectral force / djinn, aka genie, in Grand Central Station, choosing to help or hinder people's plans, including blowing up Grand Central Station. And the end, it has this great sentence at the end where it's like, will you be powerful or djinn enough? And I've never considered whether I'm djinn enough for anything.
Any of us are until we play the game.
Yeah, we have to become unto djinn. So Flipside Tactics is the name of the esports concern he works for. But despite the fact that that is all comical, this game is really neat. He set out to let players simulate another life. You go through this game, you take a short personality quiz, and then you enter the game, and you kind of in a board game fashion, you flip over this series of cards that correlate to different parts of your life. So health, social, family, work, school, things like that. And then you do a little multiple choice. You make choose your own adventure style choices, and they impact your stats. And then depending on what stats you have and what things have happened, you'll get different events. It is really impressive. There are many different stages of life. You start off in utero in this game. You start off like not wanting, choosing whether you want to leave the womb or not, which makes Fallout 3's intro look like garbage. And then, depending on how things go, you can go into, peacefully die of old age, or you can get, abducted, or you can get cancer and die, or you can get murdered in an alley, and the amount of different kind of variation is really shocking in this.
Yeah, I played this on iOS, and it's a very good fit for that. Actually, this is not an action-heavy game; it is a strategy or a role-playing game in kind of the most shockingly literal sense. You are making a choice for a character, a human character, in relatively realistic situations. I only got to the end of the childhood phase, but it said that I was sociable, positive, and not very healthy.
Oh,
yeah. So,
turn out a 3 ain't bad. I'm just kidding. Something just like the elephant in the room that is worth talking about with this. So when this came out, this is one of the early examples of trying to market games for women. It was sold as a male and female version. Now you get that choice in the beginning. But it was made in 1986. So even though your race is not specified in the game has drawn some kind of criticism for that because you never experience racism. Like you're not called a white guy in this, but you're treated as a white guy would be treated in 1986. There is no spectrum of gender things in the game. It is very much a time capsule. I think it's valuable as that. The people who steward it now are called Choice of Games. I think it's called Choice of Games. I've got it in here. But they've got a really, really good statement on their, Choice of Games. They have a really good statement on their website about kind of their attitude. Like, we understand this. Changing this would be rewriting it completely. This is maintained as an artifact of the 80s. So there's a lot of, quaint stuff in it. Like, you can buy a house. I don't know if you can imagine that, but, you can just get a job and buy a house. It's really easy. You just choose to go to college. So if you want to, it just happens, and if you don't want to, it doesn't happen. And if you don't do it, you can then just get a job. It's all pretty amazing. But you have this real sense in this of role-playing. This is a role-playing game in the truest sense of the word. People think of a role-playing game either in Baldur's Gate or Dragon Quest terms. But in those things, the role you're choosing is do I ask for more money or more experience? Do I help this person or not? This is really, you sit down and make a choice at every kind of step of the way.
Yeah. It takes place in the modern day, like Earthbound.
Yeah, exactly. The modern day, like Family Ties. And there's also the writing is very charming in it. One of the slides I have here in the lower left, I just did screen captures from the childhood phase because I've played this game a million times. But you're drawing on the walls, and then draw on the paper or draw in general. That's cute. The lower right is you learning to use the bathroom by yourself, and there are all these. You're constantly put in this situation where you can choose to kind of do the thing you know is good and get the good boy points for playing a game, or you can play this character like a car you've stolen, and my parents are having dinner, and I'm going to go shit. In general. And you get in trouble and it damages your relationship, but it's still, you get to see what happens. It is a fascinating game for that.
Yeah. Something that I like about it is you're not just given a choice of what to do, you're given a choice of your disposition while you do it. So you can see here, you can choose to be either artistic or impulsive, and you can choose to draw on the paper or draw in general. For this one, at least, all 4 combinations are correct, and they will affect your stats and give you a different readout in different ways. Other times, there are kind of dispositions that do not have compatibility with particular actions.
Yeah. You can't say you're kindly, stabbing a person.
Right.
I stabbed a hobo artistically. It's not that high concept. Yeah. There's no art crimes in it. But yeah, it's really, really cool. It is easy to play. You can play it on your phone right now. You can play it online for free. I really recommend it. One of the absolute first life sim games came out a year after Little Computer People, but way deeper than Little Computer People, and just a really remarkable game that I am disappointed more people have not played.
Yeah, but maybe now more people will.
Yeah, don't disappoint me is the subtext of that.
If you know what's good for you. No. This is great. You told me about this several years ago. I fired it up, played about partway through. I continued playing it last night, even after I did my research. So.
Yeah. Good stuff.
It's good. Let me see here. For me, this one, it's going to get into things that are a little bit more mainstream that you are going to know about. Who here has played Legend of the Mystical Ninja for the SNES? Okay, I did a bad job at picking a hidden gem. However, in thinking about the SNES era and the games that you hear talked about an awful lot, I don't hear this one come up very often when people are kind of writing their hagiography of the stuff that kind of ends up, on games Mount Rushmore or whatever. Usually that's Nintendo stuff, and there are some Konami and Capcom things. Even within this series, we didn't get very many of them here in America. This came out here in 1992. And when people talk about the series here, they either say, oh, I liked the N64 one, and that's a good game. I like that game quite a bit. Or, if they're really knowledgeable, they say, oh, the one we got on the SNES is garbage compared to the sequel to it that we didn't get here. However, even though that may be the case, that one is also very fun. I would like to make a case for why this game is really worth another look, and should be kind of seen as one of the, good, best, a great game on the SNES. I first played this at my cousin's house when I was really young. It was just one of the SNES games that they had among their collection, along with Mario World, Mario Kart, Mario Paint, Mario Contra, Mario Castlevania, any of those.
Man, when I play Mario Contra.
It can still happen. And I was really drawn to it because this is a cooperative game. In fact, I got into this right around the time that I was really playing River City Ransom with my brother an awful lot. And this feels like a continuation of that idea, where you are palling around with your buddy in a town, beating people with pipes, and buying cool sushi and hamburgers. Yeah.
And this was back in 1992, where an entire sitcom episode could be about the principals deciding to get sushi.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that, but it'd be like, oh, the friends are trying sushi. Like Jerry Seinfeld had sushi.
What?
Yeah.
What is this alien food? Yeah. But this is a very just kind of fun, easy, approachable game that has a great amount of variety to it. You have the stages are kind of built, broken into two, where you're walking around the town and there are various samurais and such that you can see who are going to be just beat up for money. There's also these side-scrolling areas where you can do cool special attacks and use the special items that you bought in town. And even inside the town, you have different shops you can go to and different little mini games that you can play. So you can go and do odd jobs like playing a little snake game to paint for money, or you can play carnival games like whack-a-mole or bet on horse races and stuff. In the River City Ransom episode that we did earlier this year, we likened that game to an early Yakuza kind of feel. This has that as well, where it's about being in these places and going and doing cool stuff.
Beating up people, but with a side of economy.
Yes. Additionally, it's a funny game. The opening cutscene makes an allusion to, the Samaru in this game, Dr. Yang. He talks about, something spooky is happening with the ghost of the temple, and does this big close-up. And then, Kid Yang is no close-ups, any of that. It's really aware, it breaks the fourth wall. And it's just incredibly charming. And was a real formative game for me.
Yeah, I like also how Dr. Yang looks like really tired Mario.
Yes.
Especially in that screenshot. He's Mario is so over riding a shark. And I guess after his life, that's probably not that exciting.
Yeah.
Right? At some point, you keep chasing higher highs. Yeah, he's just, highs. And eventually, just the last Mario games we get are just him playing that knife game. Just for thrills, losing on purpose.
Just to feel alive.
Yeah, just to feel alive, just to chip some bone. This is great. I played this when it was around. It's beautiful. I really liked it. I never had anybody to play it with. I didn't have all my co-op friends. Were not co-op friends. They just wanted to try to beat me in Street Fighter. But everyone just wanted to play Street Fighter too because of my age. I played a lot of this solo, and it was really fun.
Yeah,
it was a great game.
Yeah, and for me, this probably was some of my first real exposure to something that was explicitly set in Japan and had Japanese folklore. You're fighting, in the first stage, those yokai who look like umbrellas and stuff like that.
And sharks.
Sharks. This is pretty fun because when you're moving from stage 1 to stage 2, you choose a different travel plan at the travel agency. I accidentally chose the cheapest one, even though I had enough money. The cheapest one is throwing your way in the wash tub. And you arrive there with fewer bonuses.
Yeah, that's great.
Stage,
Really clever. Really clever, elaborate game. The last one, for me to lose my obscurity award, the last game I want to talk about is Fallout Tactics. People here, you guys know Fallout Tactics? So people know this one. And I don't think this is necessarily not well known, but this is the third tagline or whatever, unfairly maligned. So this is a 2001 game by Microforte, released on the PC. I found this at a Walmart or Target or what have you, because it had Fallout on the title, and I love Fallout 1 and 2. Those are some of my all-time favorite games. And of course, when I first got this, I was disappointed, like people are when they get this and they expect Fallout 1 or 2. It's not that. This is a totally different spin-off. It is inspired explicitly by Final Fantasy Tactics, and is part of this really, really weird subgenre of Jagged Alliance likes, of which I think there are 3 series. This is, it's kind of like the third-person RTS. There's Brutal Legend, Sacrifice, and that's it. The people just Pikmin. Like, it's just not a very popular genre. But I think this is really worthwhile on its own. It is, if you are a Fallout lore or world or flavor person, even though this has been excised from the canon, I think it is actually pretty interesting, dealing with a splinter group of the Brotherhood, and it's when the Brotherhood are still jerks. It's before Fallout 3 made them into knights. They are still assholes, and the kind of distinguishing factor is they've chosen to recruit from the outside. So this game has this kind of like military-esque fashion to it, including having Arlie Emery as your drill sergeant. And the
Arlie Ermy. Yeah, it sounds like Army.
I'm pretty sure it's Emery. I just wanted.
Do you know how Kubrick picked him for Metal Jacket? I've told you the story 5 times.
I mean, tell me again, because it's if I said yes and then we just moved on, it'd make for an incredibly weird podcast.
Oh God, and then joke has turned into a nightmare. He did his yelling at people thing for like a half hour without repeating himself while being pelted with tennis balls from a tennis ball launcher. That was impressive enough.
Yeah, that's how Kubrick recruited all of his actors, actually. It's really weird. Shelley Duvall. Like, poor woman. So the story is not great shakes in this, but it's also not embarrassing. There's this whole idea of Vault Zero and this army of robots. And the game, no one's gotten to the end of this, but it actually does pretty interesting things where at the end you can merge with the AI, and depending how you've played, it will limit your options. So if you have been inclusive and kind to the different societies of the waste and different races, then you can enforce that and kind of like a merge with Helios style Deus Ex ending. But if you've been scorched earth and been a real jerk, that option's not available to you, which is really, really neat. But the big draw here is the gameplay changes. This is basically little dialogue, little quests, but a really much more robust Fallout combat system, where you have different modes. You can do straight up turn-based. You can play it like Fallout, which is not recommended because it plays very slowly. But you can also play it in kind of a semi-real-time mode, where moving does not cost action points, but actions do, and you set characters up to Overwatch. And there is a lot of meticulous planning of ambushes in this game, which is immensely satisfying. Making a noise and positioning your shotgunner on one side of a door, knowing that the raider is going to come through that door and you are going to automatically blast them as soon as they come through, is really, really fun in this game. Really satisfying.
Yeah, it's like setting up attacks of opportunity before 3rd edition.
Yeah, very similar. In D&D. And it is, like, a good comparison for this, I think, is if Fallout is Baldur's Gate, then this is Icewind Dale. It is the combat-focused version that has some improvements, including an Icewind Dale-esque focus on constructing a balanced team. You have 6 of your different people here. You kind of play a metagame at your base where you recruit different people or reject them based on their stats or what you need in your team, and train people up to fill different roles in your team. And the big thing for this, for me at least, is that as I get older, I favor really slow strategic games more, because I am slower than I used to be, but I'm also more strategic. Thus the Peter Gunn theme when he came in to set everybody at ease. And I find this game really satisfying to take an hour, the missions are very long, and meticulously clear a map from one side to the other, and just kind of dismantle these gameplay scenarios, these different formations and setups and ambushes and such that the raiders have. And then it introduces wacky stuff like vehicles. There's multiplayer in this game where you play different races, including a dog. So if you want to have a team of 6 dog meets, you can, and see how that would work in Fallout. And it also came with a tabletop wargame variant set of rules for it, which is really, really neat. I've never played that because I don't have wargame friends. Because I have friends. It is not meant as a specific burn. It just had the,
burn in general.
And just a general, burn in general, artistically. But I feel like this is a game that I want on here because it has a really bad reputation because I think people don't go into it with the right expectations. I think if you come into it thinking it's going to be Fallout 3, it's not. If you come into it thinking it's going to be Jagged Alliance 2, but with Fallout flavor, it is. And Jagged Alliance 2 is rightfully really well regarded. That's a great game. So if you like tactics and you like strategy games, check out Fallout Tactics.
For me, as somebody who really only became aware of Fallout, kind of in the mid-2000s, I was not necessarily a big PC gamer, in the late 90s when Fallout would have been, the game to get and the game to play. I really associated Fallout Tactics with another bad Fallout game, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. In my mind, those were just merged.
Well, this is called Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel.
Is it?
Yeah, that is the subtitle, so it's not your fault. So if people don't know, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel is like a Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance or Diablo-like, but it's sponsored by Ball's energy drink. So you're constantly, and Fallout has a soda. Yeah. But just going through and having all these advertisements for balls, it ruins the immersion and the Fallout flavor.
It very improbably took Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance and Fallout, two things that are very good, and made them not work well together.
It's horrible. It's like a peanut butter and shrimp sandwich. It's so bad.
But this is not that. And for me, my first real exposure to this was when it dropped on GOG, or I think maybe Steam gave it out for free or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the one that takes place in the Midwest, too.
Yeah, this also takes place in the outskirts of Chicago. So I am from DeKalb, Illinois, about an hour west of Chicago, and this allows me to fulfill all of my, Schaumburg invasion fantasies. So, if you ever want to level a decimated Schaumburg, if you ever want to stick it to Moline, and East Moline, you get to do so in Fallout Tactics.
But it's ridiculous, because Fallout is only ever super, super West Coast or super, super East Coast. Yeah. For me, it's like Fallout 76. I'm familiar with this area. This looks like places where I grew up. So,
and then you get Fallout 76.
Oh, yeah. You don't enjoy the game very much, but it's pretty and it's in a different place. So.
Yeah, I got my 3 hours on it.
It's good. Yeah. I like it quite a bit. And hearing that it was inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. It's a similar kind of spin-off.
And also, it is what I would use to bait a trap that I needed Gary to fall into.
Yeah, both those words are extremely killing words to me. Oh yeah.
And for me, this last one is going to be another one people probably are familiar with. It is going to be Dynamite Headdy. Who here has played Dynamite Headdy? Okay, cool. We got claps and hands.
A couple of heady heads.
Okay.
Got heads.
So this is a game by Treasure. Came out a couple years after Gunstar Heroes, which I think is the most beloved game that Treasure did, at least on this generation. At least, again, the one that I've heard spoken about the most. And this was really dredged up in my memory when we recently covered Gunstar Heroes, and that's a very good game. But I was thinking, man, this is just this feels like Treasure, but it doesn't feel like Treasure. And I realized, oh yeah, when I think of Treasure, I think of this game. Probably because it was my first exposure to it. I don't know how I ended up with this. I probably saw it in GamePro, asked for it for Christmas, as things do. But this is a game. It's a platformer. It's one of Treasure's platformers, not one of their, to me, just unplayable shooters. I'm not a fan of their shooters very much. And your play as Dynamite Headdy, this kind of marionette, who has a detachable head that he can actually fling at enemies, and that is his attack. He
decaps to attack, as it were.
But it's a little bit like Kirby to a certain extent because Headdy can get different heads that give him different abilities. So ones that give him, energy shields around him, ones that make him faster, jump higher. There are sections of the world where you have to get the head that makes you super tiny so you can go around. Treasure playing around with scale in a very entertaining way that has kind of become a hallmark of that studio, or had become. And this is a very difficult game that has some very cool bosses. You can see up here, it opens with this amazing chase scene. You've got this robot who is going and throwing your buddies in his basket on his back. You have this big marionette who goes around putting on some different costumes that you have to knock the pieces off of, like you would associate with Treasure and Gunstar Heroes, etc. This is a boss-forward game that happens to have some pretty good platforming with a good amount of variety. There is one level that is like a shoot-'em-up. Very far into the game. It's like when I got to this as a kid, it was like, whoa, I didn't buy a shoot 'em up, but here one is, and this kind of blows my mind right now.
You don't have the balloon dog circus boss.
No.
Which is the one I remember from when I played this back in the day.
Yeah, the one with the weak spot on the tail.
Yeah.
And the little angel that comes in.
Target. Yeah. It's a really inappropriate ad to put in the middle of it. Where do you think I got the game?
But yeah,
this
is a demanding game, but I also think that the variety works well to its benefit. Every boss asks something different of you, and it has this whole metaphor built into it, where everything is like a puppet, like a stage play or like a puppet show kind of thing. You can even see here, like on the chase scene, like the trestle underneath the track as you're going on. You can see like your health meter is this kind of spotlight up on the stage here, and like you will just go and like you will end up fighting like stagehands who get caught out in front of the set accidentally as it goes on. Parts of it'll fall down. And there are like some 2.5D portions built into this that are like Battletoads, but the hardware was ready for it. And so you can actually like navigate the 3D in a sensible way.
It's the best thing anyone's ever said, and used the phrase "like Battletoads." I'm trying to think of anything you describe like Battletoads that's good, and I'm like, character design, food, games, like nothing sounds good. Like if you had a spaghetti dinner and it was like Battletoads, I was like,
yeah. But I think that, in going back to either Unjust or Maligned, I don't think that there are a lot of people who have very strong complaints about this. I think the biggest ones I've heard have been aesthetic, that, it's pretty visually noisy, and sometimes it's hard to figure out what's going on. If you can figure out how to read it, though, this game really does ooze charm and is one of the best platformers on the Sega Genesis.
It's a really good game. I think that when I was younger, the reason why I preferred Gunstar Heroes is because of the mascot design. Mm-hmm. I do not like how Dynamite Headdy looks.
Yeah.
I don't like his face. I don't like his attitude. I don't like how he dresses. I don't like his little smirk.
I don't like anything about who he chooses to be.
Yeah, I feel like every choice he makes, I would make the opposite. In general, I have no respect for Dynamite Headdy as a person, but I do like the game a lot, and I love the bosses.
Yeah.
And it's also it's not co-op, right?
No.
That's the other big thing with in terms of comparing this to Gunstar Heroes, which is like an interesting way that a game can be kind of moving, segueing on to why some of these games are on the list or why they ended up in this position. Is this very specifically got overshadowed in part because of that. This is maybe a stronger single player experience, but at the time, everybody wanted to have their idiot friends over to eat totinas and shoot stuff, so. So what? And this is kind of obvious, but just kind of to wrap up, why did cool, good games fail?
Because there are too many other good games.
That's definitely true now, 100%, and even then, to a degree.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, you had, just the economy was different, at least for me and my family. You got 2 games in a year, and maybe there were rentals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there were these big games that you just kind of always got because of word of mouth. It was more difficult, again, speaking for myself, to take a chance on something that seemed like an unknown quantity. And notice that with a lot of these, it was either something I found out about here recently or a family member had it. No, I remember Dynamite Headdy. There was a friend down the street who had it. I played
Dynamite
it there
Freddy.
and liked it. No, his name was Brian.
Oh, okay.
I played it there and I liked it so much. I was like, hey, can I have this for Christmas?
Oh.
Sorry, I unlocked a memory there.
Yeah, no, that's good. The other big thing too is marketing. Surfacing games was really weird. Up until 2000, if you recall, in a pre-internet time, where like I had a subscription to maybe a video game magazine for maybe a fourth of my childhood, but that meant there were huge swaths of games I did not get and never would ever have heard of for anything, unless a friend had it, and it just was invisible to me. It's no longer the case. Now the opposite is true. Part of it is because I can buy my own games, but part of it is because, every week I hear about 3 or 4 games that sound pretty cool, and I cannot take chances for that reason.
Yeah.
So there are still hidden gems going out there that I'm still missing. I have not caught up. I'm almost 40. So it hasn't happened. So, yeah, that's about what we have. We have just a couple minutes if anyone has any questions who listens to the show. If not, it's also okay, no pressure. We can go back to the stare off. I think I'm still Yeah. Does anybody have, what's your favorite obscure gem? Like if you wanted somebody to walk away with somebody playing something, I will say it out loud on the microphone and, a bunch of people will hear it. Yeah.
Swords and Serpents by Interplay for the NES.
Yeah, Swords and Serpents, which I think is a 4-player role-playing game. Is that true? It's a multi-tap game?
It is a 4-player wizardry-style dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
Every person plays a different party member, and the party members are saved by a password, so you can take your
password. You take your character to your friend's house. I played that as a kid. Yeah. Swords and Serpents by Interplay. Super cool.
By Brian Fargo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My boy. Fallout fame.
Yeah.
Anybody else obscure thing? Yeah. Tara, you're first. Then
Star Tropics 2.
Star Tropics 2. Yeah. I haven't actually played that one. I played a lot of Star Tropics, but I haven't played the second one.
Yeah, the second one is not nearly as popular.
Yeah.
It's widely hated, in fact, but I don't know. I think it's good.
Yeah. In front. There.
I was going to say, no one can stop Mr. Domino.
Oh, yeah, no one can stop Mr. Domino. That game is weird. Weird and good.
Yeah.
As a action board game, endless runner. That game is super strange.
I was really surprised. That is a good one. I probably would have, if I was smart, I would have gone and looked at After Suffering to see if there were any good candidates there. I was really surprised when I played that here recently, because when I played it as a kid on a demo disc, I had no idea what was going on, because it didn't map to any kind of game that I had any comprehension of.
Really, really creative. Anybody else before we get? Yeah.
Ninja Baseball Batman.
I love Ninja Baseball Batman. And man, thank you for setting us up for a segue.
Very generous.
After this, we're doing our meetup at Quarter World. Stay for Retronauts. I would if I were not paneling doing that. But then afterwards, come to Quarter World for our meetup and play Ninja Baseball Batman, which is a absolutely breathtakingly beautiful side-scrolling beat-em-up that has the weirdest theming that I've ever seen. You are baseball robots and you fight planes and stuff. Everything is stuff that you don't fight in real life. Like in this country, you fight a plane, you get put on a list, as we all learned. So, but this is a more innocent time. I can't have Will in the front row when I do these. Because I just keep making jokes for Will and then not being able to handle when he looks at me. Anywho, thanks everybody for coming. We really appreciate you. And if you're around tomorrow, we'll be at our table. It's over in the corner by the women's bathroom. We don't request that, but they keep putting us there. And we have stickers and buttons and stuff, and we'd love to say hi.
Yeah, we would love to say hi. Thank you so much for coming out, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.